I'm an ordinary citizen. And ordinary people should be aware that they can be taken. Just taken. Could happen to anybody. And once they've got you, they don't want to let you go.
How are you feeling, Andy?
All right, yeah. You can't prepare yourself. You don't see it coming. It's just poof, your life changes in an instant. Straight across? Yeah.
They're all here for you.
Almost exactly 20 years ago, on the 19th of July 2003, a young woman was attacked and raped as she walked to her home. Andrew Malkinson was convicted of rape and offences of attempting to choke or strangle that young woman. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. Throughout, he has denied committing any of the offences.
I get panic attacks, and I often spend too much time thinking about what's happened when I should be spending as little time reliving that as possible. But of course, some recall is necessary. I feel I have to tell the story.
Police are describing a rape on a mother of two in Greater Manchester as particularly vicious. The 33-year-old woman was attacked when she walked home on Cleggs Lane in Little Hulton in the early hours of Saturday morning. They've begun a major inquiry and want information from the public.
It was a massive story for us.
Come on, Tiger.
I was covering the Salford district as the district reporter. The victim had been choked to the point of unconsciousness, almost to the point of death. She'd also suffered a fractured cheekbone, a laceration to her breast.
Police say she was repeatedly punched and kicked before she was raped and strangled until she was unconscious.
This was a very vicious and brutal attack, and we suspect that the offender...
There was fear amongst the community, and the police, they were throwing everything at it. Their concern was, he's got to be caught. He's going to do it again.
On the morning of the 2nd of August, I was in Grimsby. About 8:15, there was a knock on the door. It's the police. What do they want? Open the door, yeah. Is it Mr. Malkinson? And straight away I thought, yeah, they know my name. Why? They said, Miss Malkinson, yeah. He said, we're arresting you for attempted murder and rape. I went, what? They put the handcuffs on. I'm put in a cell.
The circumstances in which he became a suspect are interesting. A couple of weeks before the victim was attacked, Andrew was out riding pillion on a motorbike. Two police officers decide to stop the bike that he's on. The interchange is quite amicable, but those two officers then decide that he bears a striking resemblance to the description of the attacker.
They seemed dead set that it's me. Then he started asking questions. We want to take some DNA, they asked. I said, yeah, take my DNA. My DNA couldn't possibly be on anyone, because I've not attacked anyone.
Andrew rung me and told me that he'd been arrested. And for someone to accuse him of that, it was just, what? This can't be happening. And then he said, you know, they've got the wrong person, and I've told them to take my DNA, take my hair sample, skin, blood, semen, whatever, that it'll prove that it's not me.
The police asked me to go on an ID parade. Yeah, let's clear this up. Yeah, we'll go on an ID parade. You have to stand in a certain position, hold your shoulders straight, face the camera, move left to right. I thought, there's no way she'll pick me. On the next day, the duty solicitor who was representing me says, I'm afraid to say that the victim has picked you out of the ID parade. And I thought, what the fuck? I just burst into tears. I couldn't help it. I said, I was sobbing and everything. It was pathetic. I said, I never touched that woman. I don't know who she is. On the strength of the victim picking me, I was remanded. So then I was in the prison system, pending a trial. I was frightened. How am I going to survive in here for any length of time? It's dangerous. There's murderers in here. A lot of shouting, a lot of bravado, a lot of gangsterism. But I thought when it goes to trial, it will get fixed because I am innocent.
Sit. Bed. Sit.
I do remember getting told that. You sit there and I think, oh God, that's my brother. It was a very confusing time. Here it is, it's this one in my nana and granddad's back garden. When we was growing up, he was always really kind, caring. He always had his head in a book. But as we've got older, we drifted apart. He'd been travelling about and he loved seeing the world. So I hadn't seen him for about 10 years. Then he was like charged with it. It's like, is he that person that you remember from a child? So you've still got them thoughts in the back of your head, well, did he actually do it?
I was in the dock for this terrible crime. So I looked around the court, I saw the jurors, and I saw the judge, and I looked at him, and I can't believe this is happening. It's just so insane. It's like a parallel nightmare world. The whole world hates you right now.
I was asked to cover the court case. The kind of image that they gave of him was that this is a bloke who's a bit weird. He was an oddball, and that he'd been living abroad. He was a bit of a drifter. As there was no DNA evidence, it was all reliant on identification. There was 2 witnesses. They had told police that they'd seen the rapist emerge. The integrity of the witnesses was never a question.
I thought there was something off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. There's only 2 possibilities. They're either lying or the mistaken. And I didn't know which. I didn't know which.
The most crucial bit of evidence the jury heard was that when asked by the prosecution barrister if the man who raped her was in court, the victim said yes. He then asked her, "How sure are you that this is the man?" And she said, 100%.
Fuck. What can I say? I can't say anything. She's the victim. But it's intensely horrible having someone who's been through such a terrible crime. You've had it all laid out to you. That's what you're accused of doing, right? Biting this woman, beating her unconscious, strangling her, and raping her. That's impossible to process.
I thought this case has turned here. And I thought he's probably going to get convicted.
I had no idea which way it was going to go. I was just looking at people in the eye and trying to gauge them. Not lingering too long on one person, because I'm aware it looks like I'm staring at them, but looking at everyone and going, these people are going to decide my future, you know, they might condemn me.
It was quite tense. The jury came back by a majority of 10-2. They found Mr. Malkinson guilty.
Oh, fuck. I just couldn't believe it. Absolute disbelief, horror, and fear.
Hearing he's guilty, and I thought, this can't be true. It was like I'd been pushed in an abyss. I know that Andrew didn't do that. It didn't enter my head that he would be found guilty.
At the sentencing, I was still thinking, this can't be fucking happening. The judge said some of the aspects of the crime is so concerning. I'm minded to give you a life sentence. When he said take him down, I said, I'm completely innocent. And I said it pretty loud so everyone could hear it clearly.
A man who raped a mother of two in Greater Manchester has been jailed for life. 38-year-old Andrew Malkinson was cleared of attempted murder but found guilty of rape.
We get the paper like the next night and he's on front page. My brother's been convicted and you kind of like believe that he must be this person that they're saying he is. As much as I don't really want to say this, but I am going to say it. It's like I didn't want anything to do with them, which that affected me. Because it's like, I don't want anything to do with him. And I did that, is that my mindset was. I didn't want anything to do with him because I was like, how can he be like that to a woman?
I was just terrified. For the first few weeks, months, you just don't think you're going to make it. 1 week, it drags over into the next week, and it drags over. And this slow time cycle, when nothing happens for months on end, it's hard to describe. It's like a different dimension of time. Leave the car in. I'm writing to you today from a prison in England, the worst situation I could imagine. I don't know if you know yet, so I'll tell you. I was found guilty, unbelievably, of the crime of rape against a woman I've never seen before in my life. It was a serious crime because whoever did it beat her badly.
I'm sure you believe me. I swear I didn't do it. They've got the wrong man. This one is a nice one, actually. This one is nice. On the balcony, showing his tattoo he got in Thailand. I first met Andy in 1995. He was very easy to talk to and laid back. It was almost like, well, we knew each other maybe. It was like we just started talking. That time was, it was very happy days. It was like the time of the house music. We went dancing. We did actually call each other soulmates. Our freedom was really important. A real relationship was maybe then the first 2 years. And afterwards, we broke up. There was no big fights. We always stayed friends, very close friends. I know Andy. So he just knew he wouldn't rape a woman.
I was like actually really, really scared. I've got a child, I've got a roof to put over my kid's head. And I didn't want people to know that that was my brother. Andrew found out he had a different dad at 16. He'd actually changed his name when he found his real dad. And I was so pleased that he had. Because what would happen to me and my mum being on the estate? Would you be spat at in the street? Would you get your windows put in for it? You wouldn't want to go out. You'd become like a little bit of a recluse.
I didn't speak about it to people because the reaction is, well, you will believe him because you're his mother. You just might as well save your breath and put it to better use. I spent half my life in the library because I didn't have a computer then. I was in the library that often. It was my second home. All this information that I gathered, had it printed out and sent to Andrew. But when you're fighting on your own and you're not a legal person, it's very hard.
Well, there's an appeal system. Got to get cracking now on focus all my attention on making people understand this isn't true. My appeal was based on contaminated swabs and weaknesses in the identification evidence. There was a lot of hope that it would be sorted out, but I knew it wouldn't be quick. You know, it'd probably take a couple of years. The Court of Appeal decided that the grounds weren't strong enough to overturn the conviction. What are you going to do? Say you're not accepting it and bang your head against the wall. They'll put you in the personality disorder wing. So you almost can't afford to lose your sanity. You almost can't afford to lose your sanity. You're like trapped in amber. You're trapped in amber, what do you do? And then something happened that I hoped would change everything.
Killers, rapists and other serious criminals may have escaped justice because of blunders by the official forensic service. It's become clear that evidence collected by police forces around the country might not have been properly analysed in anything up to 2,000 cases. There'll have to be a review of some crimes like murder and rape dating from 2000 to 2005.
I thought this has got to be it now. They've got to fix it this time. You know, they'll get to the bottom of it. They'll see there's something not right. So I make an application to the CCRC.
If someone believes that serious mistakes were made at their trial, they can ask the Criminal Cases Review Commission to investigate.
There's some unidentified male DNA, and it's not me, obviously. That should be enough for the CCRC to refer my case back to the appeal court. I hoped they would do the right thing. It took them over 2 years to say no. They chose to do nothing. And that's just fucking infuriating.
Karen, I have to tell you some bad news. The CCRC told us recently they would not refer my case back to the appeal court. It feels like the walls are closing in on me, crushing me. My life sentence means that I could be here for many years, 10, 15 or 20 or more years. It's very frightening. When he said the walls were crushing in, I remember I really kind of felt it, like it's really dark. I could kind of imagine him.
Every year or two, you get an opportunity to sit in front of the parole board. My parole officer always said, we have no way of knowing the level of Mr. Malkinson's risk until he's had some kind of offending behaviour programme. You all sit in a little group and everybody talks about what they've done, everything that happened in their life and what led up to them attacking someone and going through it in detail. I realised I couldn't do it. You can't sit there and pretend you horrifically raped somebody when you know you haven't. So I tried all kinds of rational arguments in front of the parole board. None of you here can believe, surely, that nobody has ever been wrongly convicted and there's no innocent people in jail. That's an untenable position, right? Yeah, okay. Well, I'm telling you, I'm one of those people who's been wrongly convicted and I'm completely innocent. And you're saying, the only thing I've got is to do these courses, which are predicated on describing what you've been convicted for, when I've already told you I haven't done it. What would you suggest I do? Should I lie? Oh, no, Mr. Marks, we don't want you to lie. So, well, I can't do them. Oh, well, you seem to be in a catch-22. That's what they said. They said those words. You're in a catch-22. They even made it very explicit. If you don't do the courses, you're going to be in a very long time.
He said, I'm never ever going to admit to something that I haven't done. I don't care if I stay in prison for the rest of my days. You're just in total blackness and nobody's going to help you.
Prison was such a dangerous place. It was like a pressure cooker, you know, people doing long sentences. There was a murder where I was. You really are hyper-vigilant because you're watching everybody. You can turn in an instant, people could be smiling at you and they might have a razor blade melted into a toothbrush. That was another favourite weapon. You feel you have to be on your alert in case somebody you don't know, because they wouldn't give you any warning, decided that they despise you and they want to really hurt you. And that makes for a very long day. Time hangs heavy.
Hey, nee? Hey. I have very much a feeling like when somebody is your friend, you won't let them down. But it's difficult. You think, well, how can I help? You know, I don't know lawyers. I don't have people in high places. What can I do? So it's even to find out who you can actually contact is a thing. I found out about this organization, the Appeal, who fight miscarriages of justice. Dear Miss Emily Bolton, with this letter do I try to get your attention for Andy Malkinson's case. I've heard very good things about the work you do for innocent prisoners whom have been wrongfully convicted.
Prisoners write to us from all over the country. We screen those cases and we choose those where we are not only convinced that the prisoner could be innocent, but also where we can see a route through investigation to achieve their exoneration.
And that was definitely true of Andy's case. What immediately stood out about the case was that a DNA profile of another man, not Andy, had been found as far back as 2007.
That really should have been a red flag, that they prosecuted the wrong man and that an innocent man was in prison. But Criminal Cases Review Commission didn't initiate any new DNA testing, didn't bother to obtain the police files or conduct any witness interviews. Essentially, the Criminal Case Review Commission, which is meant to be a sort of gateway to justice, acted as a roadblock. So we decided to set about digging ourselves.
The real challenge for us was getting access from the police to more of the physical evidence, like the victim's clothing, so that we could commission further DNA testing from forensic science experts and see what else we could learn.
The police couldn't find really key exhibits in the case. They couldn't find the victim's vest top, they couldn't find her knickers, they couldn't find the bra that she'd been wearing during the attack. We found out that in 2016 they destroyed the victim's vest top, and we think probably also the other items of clothing on that same occasion. The police have a clear legal duty to keep this stuff, and yet they binned it.
I was shocked. After my CCRC rejection, I wrote to the CPS, I wrote to the Greater Manchester Police. I said, please preserve all the evidence in my case. I want it all preserving. And they got back reassuring letters saying, we store all evidence for a minimum of 30 years if you're a life sentence prisoner. And then I was really furious. That's the victim's intimate clothing, the underwear, the top she wore. Why would they destroy that?
This was his chance to prove his innocence, and it seemed like the police's failure to retain these exhibits may have cost him that chance.
Very often, your dreams are dissipating. I'd wake up and go, oh, fuck, I'm still here. Wouldn't it be nice if I could just not wake up, I just sleep? I saw other guys were doing certain OU courses. There was quite a lot of guys doing psychology and sociology. So I started doing basic maths, and it built up into a degree in maths and physics. I slowly learned just focus on getting through each day one at a time. By staying out of trouble, I was able to progress through the system towards getting released, albeit painfully slowly.
After we discovered that the Greater Manchester Police had destroyed the victim's clothing, we thought that that would be the end of the road for Andy. But then there was a breakthrough. We found out that samples from the destroyed items of clothing had actually been retained by a body that was independent of the police.
The actual exhibits weren't there, but luckily these samples were. There were tiny extracts from the victim's clothing which could still be tested. The first set of results confirmed the finding that there was this unknown male's DNA on the victim's vest top, but also in other significant areas, including underneath the fingernails and also on the left cup of her bra, which was covered in blood. So that was new evidence. It was building up a picture here that really strongly suggested that another man had committed the attack.
Around the time we made this DNA discovery, we heard that the parole board had finally considered Andy safe for release. He'd be coming out after 17 years in prison.
When I heard I had a release date, it's like, what the hell's happening? They can't be releasing me, surely not. I was excited, but I didn't want to get my hopes up in case it didn't happen.
I just never really thought that I would ever see him come out of prison because it was such a long time. And I thought, is he going to walk out of there? And he did. It was just like I was in a dream.
It felt fantastic and strange.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Come here.
Thank you so much. I love you guys, all of you. Wonderful. Wonderful.
So Karen said that you liked Edam cheese.
I do, yes.
Apparently they have these in Holland.
Oh, stroop.
Stroopwafels.
Stroopwafels.
Karen's suggestion with binoculars.
She's got me spot on.
Welcome to the world, Andy.
This is a nice phone.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Is this Andy's number?
Yeah.
It was very surreal. It didn't feel real. I wanted to go to the beach and feel the waves and the wind and the cold air. The precious things. But I'm not free. I'm just not free. The conviction is false, it's a lie, it's not true. I'm not resting until it's overturned.
When Andy was released from prison, it was on a life licence. That meant in the eyes of the system, he was still convicted. They still considered him to be a sex offender, which meant he was under tight supervision by both the probation service and the police.
When you're living on life licence, you are a social pariah.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you in person, Andy.
We want to give you your application because James has got the paper copy.
Hard copy, yeah.
Come and sit down.
Brilliant job, by the way.
It's him.
Yeah, I told you.
Yeah.
So Andy, this is your application to the CCRC.
Oh, thank you very much.
Obviously, a big part of the new application is the new DNA testing. That
Yeah.
The fact that you spent 17 years in prison and that you still have all these restrictions on your freedom and everything like that, they should get a move on with this one.
Yeah, really, yeah. I mean, it's too serious.
Yeah.
Come on, get in, Tara. Come on, get in. We don't just represent people in courts of law. We provide a sort of representation in the round. If you've been the survivor of a wrongful conviction, you're going to need a lot of support in rebuilding your life.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Nice to meet you.
All the things that after 17 and a half years living in a box, he was no longer able to do for himself.
First time.
You ready, Andy?
Yeah.
Into the Fiat Panda
Okay.
for the first driving.
Since the late 90s in Holland. Over 20 years.
How are you feeling about the pedals?
The pedals, I can't even remember which is which, you know. The far left is, I think, the clutch.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think that is probably the brake. Or is that the brake? Well, I'll find out. Oh. Yeah, that's the accelerator. That's the gas. That's the brake.
Woo, Andy!
Hey! This is cool. Oh, yeah. It's all coming back.
How was that?
Yeah, brilliant.
How
I
does-
loved it.
Excellent. How does it feel to be driving again?
Really nice. Fantastic. So, it's a sense of freedom. Beautiful. I love it. Thanks for trusting me and your little beautiful little car.
I've never heard a Fiat Panda called a beautiful car before.
Landlords are obviously very reluctant to rent to people convicted of sex offences. It's really hard for someone in Andy's position to actually get accommodation. About 6 months after Andy's release from prison, I was able to find him a flat to live in Bridport in Dorset. A little group of us put together the furniture he needed, painted the flat and got it all organised.
I had no idea she'd done it up like this, Emily. And I came in and looked, wow, it's all carpeted and furnished and the table. I mean, they've really taken care of me. It's just a nice bit of sanctuary for me after where I've been for so long, you know. There's 2 cells at least, this alone. Sometimes I just put a film on or I can read a book. Just, it's the simplest things are very satisfying. It's a pressure drop, a big pressure drop. I've spent the 17 years in prison trying to find out what had happened. And unpicking it all is very difficult. And you're fighting all the way because they don't want the truth to emerge.
While the Criminal Cases Review Commission was considering that application, we decided we need to keep digging into this case.
We knew that the DNA evidence showed Andy was innocent, but what we didn't understand was why the two witnesses claimed that they'd seen Andy out on the street that night following the victim.
Beverly Craig and her partner Michael Seward had been presented to the jury as two honest witnesses. So I started conducting checks and I found some news reports. By the time they were given that evidence in court, had amassed convictions for 26 dishonesty offences between them. The jury had been completely misled. These were not honest people. One of the things that we found out on Michael Seward was that he passed away in 2016. We decided that we weren't just going to stop digging. In fact, we decided that we were going to go up to Bolton and try to find people who knew him.
Yeah, I think he's going to do it after work.
We just want to keep an eye on him.
Yeah, if he suddenly says, pop over now. Yeah.
The first witness on our list, who was somebody who knew Michael Seward, he told us quite a few interesting things. Michael was a drug addict, that he used heroin. ID cases are all about the reliability of somebody's memory of their perception, and the jury knew none of this. He also told us that Michael had actually been on the Jeremy Kyle show.
Mike's on the Jeremy Kyle show. Give him a round of applause.
How often do you take heroin? How long have you been on it, truthfully? No BS, come on.
Well, 20 years.
20 years.
It should not be us. It should not be us digging this evidence out. It shouldn't be us sitting on the floor of a room in Bolton looking out for witnesses 20 years after the fact. This should have been done by the CCRC, but before the CCRC got involved, it should have been done by the defence and the police at the trial, so Andy never went to prison in the first place.
Even after we managed to get the criminal records of Michael Seward and Beverly Craig out of Greater Manchester Police, we felt there was still more there to be found out. And so we had to take the police to court to get more disclosure. What we found was truly remarkable. On the date that Michael Seward and Beverly Craig came forward as witnesses in Andy's case, and on the date that Michael Seward picked out Andy and said, that's the man that I saw 6 months ago, on both those dates, he'd been arrested by the police. When we learned that, maybe you can allow for one coincidence, but on those two key dates, both those dates, Michael Seward is arrested by the police. Some of the charges against him are withdrawn, and he gets away with a pretty lenient fine. There's a question here about whether he's been offered some kind of deal for giving evidence against Andy.
It was a moment of real clarity. Piece by piece, this totally different picture was developing of who these bolstering eyewitnesses were. It suddenly made clear how the wrongful conviction had happened. We thought Andy was wrongfully convicted. This explained how it was possible that people came into court and said that they saw him when they didn't.
Emily, are you in?
Andy.
Oh, there you are.
Hiya.
Hi.
Just back.
Yeah.
Do you want a cup of tea?
Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah, nice.
The reason why he's living here with us in Dorset is he's struggling to keep his head above water. He's very damaged by what's happened, and he just has to take it sort of one day at a time.
If Emily wasn't there, I would be really struggling. I need a reality check on my thinking sometimes when the panic and the nightmares and the flashbacks get overwhelming. But for sure, life is much easier to deal with that kind of support. I like going for walks with Basil here. It's very nice to have a little an innocent creature that loves you unconditionally, and he does. It releases me from my own thoughts going around in circles that I've been doing that for 20 years.
Living around Andy day to day and supporting him in the kind of logistics of life, I absolutely can see that there is a short-term memory issue. And I haven't read enough to know whether it's associated with trauma, but I would imagine that might be the case. Andy is a very intelligent, scholarly man, but he cannot hold on to something from one minute to the next. It's really troubling because he can't take the steps he needs to function in the world.
No, we're on the way to pick Karen up from the airport. She's just flown over from Schiphol, and so quite exciting, isn't it? Slightly anxious, but looking forward to seeing Karen after 20 years. She remains my best friend in the world. There's nobody else that's closer that isn't family. She's just like a rock to me. She's always there. Hey! Oh, it's great to see you. These are for you, by the way. Oh, such a long time, eh?
Oh, nice to see you.
Oh, yeah.
Really nice.
Great, you look good. You want these?
Thanks.
Nice. Come on. You look good. You don't look any different.
No, you don't?
No, do I know? Go this way. Stay straight. Walk in a straight line.
It's just amazingly beautiful. Eh?
Yeah.
When we first saw each other again, we fell straight back into the old ways of going around. Like we was two youngsters again or something. A bit older, but yeah, really funny it was. We started the same talking, and so it was not straight away that I saw the damage. I suddenly see a person who is really hurt. They did something horrible to him. And they cannot fix it. So, they should realize that. Yeah.
Andy's waiting to hear from the Commission as to whether they will send his case back to the Court of Appeal. And if they do, that will mean he gets a hearing in the Court of Appeal to present the new evidence. I feel like the waiting is like the definition of torture for Andy. We've only got maybe an hour now to wait.
It's enormously significant to us. Maybe not to the people who are making the decisions. It doesn't affect them really, does it? But to us, you know, it couldn't be more significant, could be more important to the rest of your life.
Morning. Do you want to say hi to everyone?
Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Lovely smiling faces.
Yeah. You've missed James's nervous pacing.
Okay, Andy, it's here.
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's open it. Here we go. It's opening.
Dear Appeal, find attached details of the decision. To be fair. Hey!
Yay! Well done.
James, well done, James. You've been at the spearhead, and well done, all of you.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Look, you can tell James has actually just got straight into the document and is reading it, working out what it actually says.
It's a real achievement. Hello, Trish. Hiya, love. I've got some brilliant news. They've agreed to refer the case back to the Court of Appeal.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, yeah.
Hang on, we're just hearing something. What?
Something's coming in. Wait a second, something's just coming in.
I write to confirm that the CCLC has decided to refer Mr Malkinson's conviction to the Court of Appeal on the basis of new forensic evidence, including a significant match from the national DNA.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
The DNA profile matches that of a Mr B, a man previously unconnected with the investigation of this case and who is unknown to the victim but who lived at the relevant time in the vicinity of the location where the attack took place. Mr B's DNA profile was uploaded to the NDNAD in 2012. He's now the subject of an ongoing police inquiry in relation to the index offence.
Wow.
2012.
Since 2012, that man has been
On the database. They rejected it in 2012, didn't they? Or there was where it says that, and then there's these two documents attached to it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All them thoughts that you've got about your brother are then kind of like disappeared, because you know for definite that it wasn't him that did it. I'm really got really bad guilt from it. Yeah. It's really bad to think that my brother was meant to have done what he's done, and I believed it. As much as I didn't want to believe it, it was like he must have done it. So, yeah, I feel really bad about that.
Hey! Oh, you look smart.
Well, thank you. I don't know where he got the determination from to get to July 2023. You know, everything that he's endured. Don't know where he got all his strength from.
Good moment, huh?
Yes.
They're all here for you. Look at them.
Spectacular. Wow.
Look at that.
Yeah. That makes it look really serious with all the cameras.
This is an historic case, but also an historic injustice. Andrew Malkinson's original trial resulted in an unsafe conviction because of deplorable disclosure failures, which must lie at the door of the Greater Manchester Police, that wholly undermined any prospect of a fair trial.
We must keep Mr. Malkinson waiting no longer to know the outcome of his appeal. Mr. Malkinson, having waited so many years, you leave the court a free man, no longer subject to the conditions of your life licence.
I came to the police station in 2003 and told the officers I was innocent. They didn't believe me. I applied to the Criminal Cases Review Commission, which is supposed to investigate miscarriages of justice, and told them I was innocent. They didn't investigate, and they didn't believe me. I am not a liar. I am not in denial, but I will tell you who is. Greater Manchester Police are liars, and they are in denial. Greater Manchester Police have been scrambling to cover up how they wrongfully convicted me for 20 years. And all this time, the person who really did this horrific crime has been at large. And this means that it's not just me who has been denied justice, it is the victim. As this is my only chance to say something to her, please allow me to address her directly. I am not the person who attacked you, but what happened to me is not your fault. I'm so sorry if my fight for the truth, as I knew it to be, has caused you extra trauma. I am so sorry that the system has let you down. It let us both down. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, bless you. Hello.
When he came back to Grimsby, I did say to him, I'm sorry I never came and visited you in prison. I'm so pleased my brother is back in my life. I was just so emotional. He's free.
Let's do it. Make sure my passport's there. I'll see you soon, buddy. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Bless you. Oh.
Next step. Off you go.
Bye, Emily. Thank you so much.
Cheers on what we...
We really achieved something, eh?
Yeah, achieved something.
Yeah. I wanted to prove my innocence, and I've done that. But I've lost 20 years of my life. And no apologies or platitudes about lessons learned can ever make up for what they did to me. The damage is done. The pain doesn't go away. It doesn't go away.